feeling of love, and we really get to begin to understand the broadness of that, things change. But if we keep it specific, that is, now I'm not talking about the, quote, personal love. I'm talking about the feeling of cosmic love. We need to apply that in all situations across the board. Because if we don't, we lose the meaning of it. We lose the feeling of it. To come to the absoluteness of love is a very large thing. Actually, it is, in fact, when you look at the process, the Son of God. Son, simply because it is a thing and is aggressive, and aggressive things are usually in Tao referred to as masculine. And it's also relative to something else. So, Son of God. This is the product of the recognition of Mother God, of her creation. The product is immediate love. So this is the love we're talking about. And we need to be able to apply that no matter what. I see and I hear that we make enemies of each other. For whatever reason. No. For whatever excuse. Not reason. Excuse. We need to understand that just because someone does not agree with us politically or whatever all those things are, that they too are worthy of being loved. Maybe I should put that another way. You are worthy of loving them. Let's put it that way. Okay. You have to remember that any time you shut off feeling, okay, you harm yourself. It is not about the other. I understand. I fully understand that there are situations where we think it's okay to be angry or to hate. And there is not. There is no situation. Only. There's a situation only when you look at it as from the standpoint of a, quote, human being. And one of the things I have to say to you is that none of you are male or female or black or white or brown or yellow or human. You are not that. You are greater than that. We can call it what we want. We can call it God itself. We can call it whatever it is we want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you call it. It matters that you experience it. And we can never achieve that unless we are willing to make the sacrifice of bias. To be biased. Okay. To be split. Okay. Now that doesn't mean we have to eat cheese in the presence of people. Eating cheese is that smile, that funny little smile that people get when other people are being obnoxious. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean you can't stand up and say what you say. Sometimes it even means you have to defend. But without anger, a hostility in your heart. The feeling of love must always be present. From this feeling of love, we begin to understand, love. We begin to understand other human beings. That first feeling of love for oneself. If I can love me, I can love you. Now what does that mean? It means if I look at the things I think about, the things I do, that are not loving and kind. When I look at that, and I look at someone else, I see me. When I have the love, I also see me in them. I accept. This is where you are. Now that doesn't mean that I want your behavior in my life. It doesn't mean that. So we start to get weird with stuff. Okay, I realize you're a serial killer and all that, but come live at my house for a while. No, don't do that. That's not a good thing.
Then you're a beg.
Yes. And then you wonder why you wake up and they're standing over you with an axe. But I was good to you, but they were a serial killer. You knew that. We have to use our heads. So it's a balance. But we must feel the love. We must feel it. And sometimes, in loving, one has to be very harsh. Sometimes. Just straight up. Here you go. You're doing this. You need to stop that. Particularly because people that we are close to don't always see what they're doing. Or they'll say, I see it, but they don't do anything about it. And sometimes you just have to say, look, that's enough of that. Out of love. Not out of anger, not out of misunderstanding, not out of hostility, but just out of caring about that person. But at the same time, knowing that you must respect their humanity and they have to make their decisions themselves. I had a conversation with a person in the group about one of their children. Oh, I'm just so worried, I don't know what to do, I haven't been able to sleep. I said, let them go. But that's my child. Question, are they listening to you? No. Well then, what's your problem? They aren't listening to you, so why are you tearing your hair out? You have to let them go. You have to allow them the chance to make decisions for themselves. Buster's snoring. To grow into a human being. To grow into a responsible adult human being. That is a part of loving them. And letting them make their mistakes. Letting them. You know, we look back on it. This is the way we all learned. We learn through our pain. We learn through our joy. We should. But generally we just accept that and that's okay, that's cool, that's good. We don't pay much attention to it. But we learn from both ways. I must allow that to be okay. That has to be okay. Again, you don't have to have it in your space. Doesn't mean that you aren't loving. The only thing that means that you're not loving is the absence of love. The absence of the feeling in here. When you have that feeling present, then you are loving. And the basis of your decisions will be from love. It's really simple. When you are confused, that will be the basis of your decision making. When you are angry, that will be the basis of your decision making. The decision that you make comes from where you are. From where you are. Now when we talk about love, we have to talk about honestly being there. Love is not a matter of the head. It's not a matter of this. It's a matter of how you feel. It is a matter of feeling. That is how love is recognized. It's a matter of feeling, not thinking. We get into this. We'll be in a relationship for a long time and we say, oh, yes, honey, I love you. We don't mean it. That's what we've thought. And we get into thinking as opposed to feeling. One thing one technique that is important is death. Death. Knowing that you are going to die. What would you do if you knew you were going to die? How would you treat this person? How would you treat the world? Death is a great teacher. When you can really have the experience, I think it was Charlie at 16 had the feeling that he was dying. Stretched out on the floor and let go. Got up and became one of India's greatest saints. To experience, to actually have the feeling, wow. When you leave here, look at the sky. Look up. Know that one day you won't be able to see it. Don't think about whether it's a blue sky or a gray sky. It doesn't matter. It's a part of the wonder and the beauty of being here. Just take a moment. Look at the grass. Smell the air, that old funky Chicago air. One day, no more air for you. Okay. Consider these things. And consider what you would do at that moment. Consider this person seated next to you or seated in front of you. Consider one day, just not there, just gone. What would you have said? How would you have treated them? Death as the advisor to life. Now, if you only take it so far, if you only take that, oh my God, I'm going to die, and oh God, oh Lord, you wasted the technique. Okay?
That's a lesson too.
Yeah. You got to go past that. You got to go past that. That's not losing everything. Death makes you lose everything. Leaves you naked, stripped naked. That person that you don't like, why is it you don't like them? Why is that? Consider your heart. Why is it? And don't take the first obvious answer. Take the answer that's deeply rooted. The answer that is deeply rooted. We skate along the surface. We accept that automatic answer. The automatic answer, the one that comes up. I don't like this person is a liar. Think of your own lie. And take that deeper. Your own lie about your personality. Believing that lie. Saw an interesting thing the other day. Parents doing sign language with their babies. It says that the intelligence of the child is there long before the language is developed. The child is there. You are there. Beneath or behind the personality. The love is there behind the defense, the personal defense. You don't want to be hurt, you don't want this, you don't want that, you don't want the other. You are there, just as the child is there in the beginning. You, what you really are, the undefinable, is present. The love is present. The child just loves. Needs no reason. Only adults need reasons to love. Only adults need reasons to save their own life. Okay. And we think we're not insane. When you've got to have a reason to save your own life, or you have to have a reason to feel the love that is a part of the fabric of what it is that you are. Now, you must have the courage to find it, to live with it. It takes much more courage to live with love, because you stand out when you live with love. Because 98% of the people of the population of this world only experience small amounts of love, because they've got too much else going on. So naturally, when you love, you're going to stand out. You're going to look different. You're going to be different. Now, that doesn't mean be crazy and be different. It means feel honestly. That is why feeling is important. It's important to feel it and not to label it. Just feel it. It will show you both sides of itself. Both sides. It will show you the joy and the pain. Accept, because that is your nature. Be joyful even in your pain. Laugh until you cry. Cry until you laugh. When you can live at that point, it is called bliss. And that is, it is a place. You have to choose to find it. Let's take...
Can I ask you, the way you use that word place, it's also a feeling, right?
It's a feeling that comes from a certain position.
Can you sort of like tie those things together, please?
Yeah. When you occupy a certain position in your consciousness, this is what I call, what I mean when I say place. There's a feeling that naturally comes from there. This is what I mean. The feeling is automatically there when you are out of your mind.
When you're not paying attention to it.
Right. The feeling will automatically be there when you're out of this, so that this relaxes and the energy moves. If you just relax, it'll be there. That's the technique. That's the technique. We want a lot of answers about it, but you have to allow it to take you. We want, well, I say, the Son of God is love. Translation, Christ. Not a guy. Okay. Not a guy.
Not Jesus.
No. It was Jesus the Christ, the one who became the cosmic love. You can also, if you want to use that language, the Christ. Or people say, I feel the Christ within me. A lot of times they are right, but they don't know they're right. Because they've got some other weird kind of thing going on. The love, the translation, love. Yahshua, the love. Above all other things. Or, not really above, because when we start talking about that, we can't talk directions. Because it permeates everything, everywhere. But we have to come to that. Come to that. And that means this has no place. One of the most important sentences on this earth is the alignment of the Sphinx with the pyramid with the rising sun. It is a sentence. The light enables man, or humans, to rise above their animal nature, to become the perfect being. The pyramid is a symbol of the perfect being. So there's an alignment. It's a sentence. To be in the light, to recognize the truth. The light shines. That space. With the light comes what you are. And that is space. Is God itself, or what we call God. Well, if it's at its base, then its product, love, is also a part of us. So to feel that, to experience that, not to talk about it, but to experience it. To let what is male, female, race, all the other things we use to separate ourselves from each other, all those things go away. Religion, they all go away. Now we have risen above our animal nature, our automatic nature, to become flawless. No. Become perfect. Now, I want you to, in case you forgot, is how I have defined perfect. Okay. Perfect means to contain all things. To contain all things. We think of perfect as being flawless, without flaw. But all things have one little point in them where it is not consistent. That is so that you walk through that point of understanding and arrive in another place, and another, and another. So the flaws that we've hoped to get away from are doorways and a part of perfection. If they didn't exist, we'd all just sit around like knots on a log. But we can't do that. It's about continual or perpetual growth.
There would be no evolution if it didn't exist.
None whatsoever. We would not have evolved to the point where we have, and we haven't moved. We haven't done a whole lot of evolving, but would, yes, please. It is important to love, to come to the real love, not here, but real love. Because you also have in you the power of creation. So when your creations are created with real love, you get a different, you get love. But when it's not with real love, you get a big plate of spaghetti, and not all of it is good. This is, we have all these, quote, problems. And these problems exist because we are not creating in true love. Real love. Real love allows for someone else's mistakes. Or someone else. Real love can look at, well, once you snatch the hood off his head, a Klansman, you can look at him and you can see why he is what he is. It doesn't make him less dangerous. But if you see why he is what he is, you can't hate him. You have to keep your eye on him, but you can't hate him. I watched a show about Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. It was the same person. Mm-hmm. The same person. They were hurt, angry people from their pain and the way people treated them as youngsters. They became angry. They became frustrated and then angry and then hateful. Hitler's father, I think, or his grandfather, was Jewish. He was treated kind of badly about that. He grew to hate what he thought was the issue, his father, his grandfather, and not those who persecuted him. So he began to hate what was in himself. It's a funny thing, and when I got a magnifying glass for one Christmas, and when Hitler's doing his speech on my TV screen, I've got my magnifying glass and I'm looking at his eyes. And I saw the pain in his eyes. The town where his grandfather, I believe it is, was born, he had the army use the town as artillery range. I think there's one corner of one building left. This is an example of how making decisions from that place of anger, of self-loathing, is destructive. It's destructive. And to show how close it can come, I believe Hitler had a niece who lived with him, and he held her up as the epitome of German womanhood. And she got pregnant. Guess by whom?
Not a Jew.
Oh, a Jew. Well, he left that evening, and they found her the next day with a bullet in her chest. Joseph Stalin had a friend, the only person who really cared about him, I forget the guy's name, who stood up for him and who would introduce him. And Stalin felt he got too big. People cared more about him than him, and guess where they found him? With a bullet in his chest. And he loved this guy. But you see, this is an example of how anger and hatred causes decisions to be made that are detrimental or destructive. We wonder about the things that happen in our lives that are destructive, that we do that are destructive to ourselves. It's because of our anger and our hatred. We have to decide somewhere, is this what I want? Is this what I want in my life? We have to decide. Wow. See, death will help you make that decision. Have it sit down with you. It will help you to decide. Being loving in this society, and perhaps in this world, is considered to be weak. We don't want to be seen in that way. But I say this to you. Tears in my eyes have never kept me from whipping somebody's butt. Just have to wipe it up so that you can see where they are. They're only tears. We have to come to our nature as spirit, in spirit, or which spirit, that word, just to separate or show the difference between physical form and non-physical form. What you are is non-physical. There is no hate. There is only love. In form, we find reasons to hate in form. Someone comes from someplace else, therefore they look different than us. I don't like that. I'm afraid of them. They're different. Sometimes they come in the same house. We hate our siblings because they are different from us. Only in form. Well, I don't like these people over here. They're too short. Well, I don't like those people. They're too tall. I don't like those people. Their eyes are slanted. Well, I don't like those people. Their eyes are round. What is this? See, we're talking the animal issue. We're talking pissing on trees and rocks and stuff. That's what we're talking. Who can piss the highest up on the tree is the biggest.
Might makes right, huh?
Right. Might makes right. That is our philosophy. Well, not in spirit. In spirit, there's only me. There is no you. There's only me. From the point of view of spirit. There is only love in spirit. There's nothing to divide me. There's nothing to do this about. What is there? There is no thing. We realize this. We're now in the light. Then it's when we raise above our animal nature. Doesn't mean that we still don't enjoy some of the perks of being an animal. You know, sometimes a good old steak, boy, it's all right. You know, good old tofu. Go out to the forest and track down one of those tofus. Yeah. It doesn't mean that. It means spirit is in control. Not fear, not anger, but love is in control. It must be a real thing, not a pretend thing. I traveled around the world right after this happened to ashrams and all these places and saw the phony baloney love. Few people were, you know, but how you are. They were lying. And I knew they were lying. I knew they didn't know. Because love is not like that. That is pretending to be something I've heard or pretending to be something I've read about. No, this is real. This is a real entity. I don't do that. I love. But I'm not airy-fairy by any stretch of the imagination. I am what I am, behind the persona. So, the work that we do to come to the love is important. This is why with some of you, I won't talk about the mysteries of the universe. I will only talk to you about opening the door to love. Then when we get the door to love open, we can talk about the mysteries of the universe. First things first, love. First person to love We can say it is ourselves, but that's not really true. It's just to let the love in, because that's what you are. To let the love in, you will actually experience light. You let the love in, you are now at the moment of infinity. Where that light burns, where the filament burns, is the moment of infinity. It is where things come, transcend between form and non-form. It is the moment of infinity. Let us think. That sounded like I was going to say, let us pray. Let us think. Just for a moment. Follow me, if you will. An atom. We shoot electrons through accelerators and this kind of thing and make it go around in this big circle. And that is a creation and a perception. But if we take this atom, or this nucleus, and we see that it flashes off and on, pretty quick, though. You got to watch quick. Let us say it does that 20, let's say 10 followed by 23 zeros times in 1 second. So you got to look real quick. That's a lot of zeros. You get 7 places is 1,000,000. So now we're talking 10 and followed by 23 other places. That's a lot in 1 second. Question is, does it travel linearly? No. It expands like this. The sphere expands like that. But it's moving so fast and the particles are so small, it doesn't go in time and space, but out of time and space. At the moment of infinity. Okay. Now, when it goes there, wherever there is, comes back. We see it at a point, it passes through, as it goes through itself, out again. Now at this moment, when it does this, bang, we now say we have discovered other particles, other parts of it. Well, have we really? Or were those parts made with the explosion that happens here? At the moment of infinity. At that moment is where you come in. At that moment is where the consciousness comes in. Just like at the moment where the light comes on, or the sun. One of the reasons that ancient cultures worship the sun is because your consciousness comes from the light. You are received. You receive the light. You receive the consciousness into your being. Now, I say this to you. That's just a way of explaining something. So, After the lecture, let's not have any conversations about physics. Go take a physics class. I forgot most of this stuff. This stuff is out of a paper I wrote in the 50s. So I don't remember all of it. I just remember the high points. The key points. Okay. I remember turning that paper in and a bunch of physicist guys going, wow, very interesting. Ha ha ha. It's like they had no idea what I was talking about, which I found hilarious. Okay. But this is the moment of infinity. This is the moment that transcends all time and space. This is the moment. This is how you are delivered into the body, into the receiver that you've made. Cellularly, subatomically, cellularly, we break down the food. We cause energy. That energy is you, is the consciousness. Consciousness of one thing is the same as consciousness of another thing. In this moment, in this absolute moment, what you really are exists. Not this. This is merely the receiver. And it has laws. But you must understand those laws in order to transcend those laws. That is why the technique. Ultimately, you recognize yourself. You recognize yourself. But you must be making the effort to recognize yourself. That's why I'll say to you sometimes, you'll say, well, tell me about that physics thing. And I'll say, nah. Your work right now is about you and the doorway past your animal nature. Once you come past that, I won't have to explain that to you. You'll see it for yourself. So we're just wasting time on what I know. When I say wasting time on what I know, for me it's truth, for you it's information. So what we want you to do is have it be true for you. And that is just by getting this out of the way. But that light brings with it the thing that is 2 steps removed from the absoluteness of godliness. Love. I say 2 steps removed. Because first there was God the Mother, then God the Father, then love.